Hi, my name is Mark, and I invented this new binding, and I think it's potentially pretty significant, so I just want to give you a little bit of perspective on that. And to do so, let me ask you to think about, the ultimate goal of capturing the written word. And there are several, but one of them is to provide, a volume so that people can read. And obviously we wouldn't want to do that so that it's difficult and uncomfortable. The goal would be to provide the reading experience, enjoyment, learning, whatever, with ease and comfort. And so let me just jump back through the history now. So scrolls were difficult. They were first used in Asia 5,000 years ago-ish. It's not quite clear. And they remained the dominant form for about 3,000 years, 2,500, 3,000 years. And around 100 BC in India, palm leaves were split, dried, written on, and sewn together with twine. And a couple hundred years later, the Chinese invented paper, and the Copts in Egypt first sewed papyrus, folded sheets of papyrus together with boards. And so that gave us the form of our conventional hardback. And that changed the user experience a lot. And you could go to any portion of it without having to scroll through a long sheet. And you could write on both sides of the page, which made things easier from a couple of perspectives. And so that form, the codex, was overtook the use of scrolls, at least in the Western world in the Roman Empire, within several hundred years, by 500 AD. And in the Middle Ages, monks introduced the use of adhesive in books, and the Koreans invented the movable type in 1200-ish, Gutenberg in the 1400s, and those moves helped make books more available to people because it dropped the price of the printing portion of the process, but it didn't change the user experience at all. The making of the books, the form of the books was still the same. And so then there's several hundred years, advances in adhesives. The softback was invented in 1895, but that didn't become popular until the 30s, 40s, and 50s. And during all of this time, the biggest invention, aside from the codex, I think, was this one here. This was the invention of the spiral. This is a patent by a French man named Fischer from 1924. And Fischer was clearly thinking about the user experience, and that's a pretty creative answer to get to the point where we've got something that's easy to use, very easy to use, lays flat on its own without a brick. And so anyway, I think that advancement's pretty big, but obviously the spiral came with other challenges. And so the softback overtook the hardback in 1959, and that was largely due to the reduced cost. And so people that couldn't afford hardbacks could now, mass paperback, Pulp Fiction, etc. So that brought books to much more of the masses, but still it left the the user experience. And I've studied hundreds of patents. I've probably looked at and read thousands in this project, and there's an amazing emphasis on lay flat. People trying to create better lay flat, and you can decide. You obviously can have your own opinion about whether books lay flat or not. But in the industry, they're actually called lay flat, even though everybody knows they don't. So this is a book that I converted to my form and read, and it's very easy to read, very comfortable. This one's a little bit thicker, which I think is kind of cool. Much bigger book, but this is also a book I've read, as you can tell, and it lays flat, and it's easy to use, easy to hold, comfortable. And so these designs were invented in 2020, and that's a little bit of history of books and user experience.